Hi, this is Zach here with a little pre-podcast message. Early in the episode, you're going to hear us refer to episode 3. We're talking about Elvis, which we announced as our third episode at the end of our second episode. Unfortunately, we had an audio issue which made our original third episode basically unlistenable. So we will now be presenting our fourth episode that we had pre-recorded as our third. So humor us, and I hope you enjoy. Now, here's the intro.
Attention! Welcome to the Film Mages Podcast, where the popcorn is our ammunition, the couch is our foxhole, and the cinema is our place of worship.
Now let me see your war face! Ah!
La-di-da. Ah-ha-ha.
And we are recording.
Are we?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
I just thought that would be a nice little way to record.
Yeah, why not?
Hey, we're back. We're the Film Majors. I'm Zach.
I'm Alexis.
I am Mick.
And we're the only podcast whose audio quality gets better every episode you listen.
Every time. What do you mean by that?
I mean that, on our first episode, our mixer exploded on us.
We literally heard it making a popping sound.
Yeah, we heard electricity arcing within the mixer.
It was a lot of fun.
So we were
the
like,
mood was electric.
hey, maybe we don't use that. So that happened on our first episode. Our second and third episodes, we were using a computer that was too old. We won't say whose it was.
First of all, it's not that old, but
I
anything past toddler age is old in this society.
I said we weren't gonna say who it was.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
It
first
could've
of all,
been-
you doesn't even matter because Mix was prehistoric.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, if
The
all
dinosaurs
worst comes to
roamed
worst,
like
we
us.
can always use my 2015 Lenovo laptop.
So we're using my 2017 MacBook, which is actually recording clean audio because
Yeah.
we did some tests earlier, and we were on another podcast. We
were.
popped onto we sure were. It was
Yeah.
mere hours ago.
What was it?
It was the toss-up that my friend Simon hosts, and that will have been out for probably a few weeks at this point. So if you haven't checked it out, please do go ahead and look him up. He's Simon Lefty on Spotify.
He's a nice guy. I like him.
He was really sweet. I feel really bad because I had to be, before you guys got back on the Zoom call, I was like, hey, by the way, after we got off of the first Zoom call, I had to cough, and then I blew my nose, and then I forgot that I was on my audio recording still, and I was like, so I'm sorry, but you're gonna hear a very loud cough, blowing my nose, and then me going, I'm so sorry!
Oh boy, that's some ASMR we need to release on YouTube.
Yes, Alexis is still wasting away from her illness.
She still has the plague.
I believe that some of the audio about this cut out on last episode.
I know,
Let's just
yeah.
say that much like a Jane Austen protagonist, Alexis went out in the rain, and she's gonna die. She's gonna die soon.
I have
so
the
we're trying to-
constitution of a small Victorian child left in the gutter.
Yeah, some sort of an Edwardian orphan. Just
Yeah.
absolutely.
Dickensian,
It's very
possibly.
Dickensian.
She's a Dickensian
I'm Tiny Tim.
protagonist.
Oh my god.
She's not making it to Christmas.
Scrooge just looking at Alexis going, damn, I fucked up.
Humbug!
I'm gonna have to save this poor woman.
So we're trying to get just as many episodes cranked out as we can in rapid succession before Alexis succumbs to her illness.
Yeah, we're looking for a new host.
Yeah, it's, if anyone majored in film and likes to.
Isn't there a movie where some lady is trying to find a new lover for her man
Yes.
before she dies, and
yes.
she interviews them or something?
No, so I think we're talking about the same film.
Okay.
She is diagnosed with an incurable disease and starts recording her daily experiences and starts seeing another man just because, fuck it, I am about to die.
It's not what I was talking about. But that sounds good too. More power to her.
Is that not the same movie?
It's not what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of somebody who's I need to replace myself essentially in my husband.
No, that is the
This
same one.
sounds
That is the same one.
like a reversed.
Maybe it was a fan fiction I read.
This seems
actually.
Alexis, you're talking about the same one I've seen because
Remind
in
me.
her process, she befriends her female neighbor, who she then hooks her up with her husband, so that they can continue to be good parents to her child that she's leaving behind.
Okay, maybe it is the same.
This seems like a similar premise to P.S. I Love You, starring Hilary Swank and
Oh
Gerard
my
Butler.
god, I love
That was the first movie I watched this year. I really
Him
enjoyed it.
with his suspenders?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it's a good look.
Okay. And once again, we were in a hot apartment, and it just got hotter.
I'm dripping sweat already.
Yeah. Also, who's the romantic interest who she meets in Ireland in that movie? I think that's Javier Bardem. Or no, it's not. It's
Wait, sorry, what movie?
Isn't it the
P.S.
same
I Love
guy
You.
who was? No, it's not that.
It's the guy from Walking Dead who plays Negan.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Dean Taylor. Jeffrey Dean Thomas.
Can't help you with that.
All right, it's close to that.
Somewhere
We
around
can move
there.
on. He's in the movie Rampage.
Yeah, let's take a right turn.
Yeah. So are we gonna do it? Are we gonna get into it?
Oh wait, what
Have
are
we
we
not
getting?
already?
What are we
One of
getting
our
into?
famous segment.
Oh, our face. Oh, what's going on?
What's going on?
Robbed me of it.
You get to do it every time, though.
I
What's
threw it.
going on?
I feel so small.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say earlier. Is that this podcast is truly a beautiful give and take between three friends. You know, you give me gray hairs. I slowly take away years of your life.
Yeah, no, and eventually
It's
I'll
fair.
be buried in her tomb.
There it is.
No, I think that it's worth bringing up every episode that Alexis does plan on imprisoning Mick and I in her tomb like the pharaohs of old. Oh, and there she goes. It's going to be sooner by the minute.
For a second, I thought she
Will
was
you
going.
even have a podcast if I bury you in my tomb?
We'll record
It'll be muffled.
I feel like... yeah, it'll be like...
Make sure you have like a direct line going out so you have a signal.
There we go.
Please, oh God, I'm trapped in a sarcophagus. That's what it's gonna sound like. So I've got something going on.
What's going on?
Yeah.
So once again, I have love in my life, and I went to go see Don't Worry, Darling with my girlfriend last night,
Uh-huh.
and it was frustrating. I was so frustrated by it because I can't really get into details because my two co-hosts have yet to see it. But it is like so close to being a really, really interesting, cool movie. It's playing with a lot of like very relevant and interesting concepts. It's building off like other sci-fi and horror films that I really like. But the execution is really messy. I'm going to say that Harry Styles, well, he's not particularly good in the movie. I feel like people are kind of clowning on him because it's fun to do. Because, why is he trying to be all things to all people? But I think that the bigger problem with the movie is, it's a movie that definitely takes a turn. I don't think that's, really a spoiler to say it's clearly a movie where it's like, oh, it's a 50s setting with something dark brewing underneath. But when you discover that dark thing, the movie feels like it's not particularly interested in exploring that concept and rushes to its conclusion. And it's frustrating to me because, I would really have liked to have seen those concepts explored further because it's dealing with some really interesting stuff, but I don't think it's dealing with it in a way that really gives those concepts justice. So, Don't Worry, Darling, not really a recommendation from me. It's more a frustratingly executed premise that had the potential for greatness.
I think I've already let go of Don't Worry, Darling. If I'm being totally honest, I think I've let it go by this point.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm patiently waiting for The Whale to come out.
Ooh, yeah.
I really want to see
The
Brendan
Whale,
Fraser.
Brendan Fraser. Darren Aronofsky, right?
Darrenofsky, yes.
Yeah. Really quickly about Don't Worry, Darling, which I think I'll see eventually. I was really excited by the trailer, and then when all the drama came out, it made me less interested in it, which I think was the opposite effect
I mean,
for a
I'd
lot of
watch
people.
it for Florence Pugh.
Florence Pugh, we love Florence Pugh.
She is wonderful in the movie. Her,
Yeah,
her
I'm
and Chris
sure.
Pine absolutely kill it. Another complaint. More Chris Pine, please. Just
More
in
Chris
general,
Pine.
in all things, we could have more Chris Pine.
Dungeons and Dragons. Are we all gonna go see Dungeons and
I'm
Dragons
gonna go see it
together?
with my D&D group.
Absolutely. I worked on the reshoots
okay,
of
that's
that
cool.
film,
Well,
and I
thank
have
you,
to
guys.
say,
You
it should
have
be good.
you have to explicitly invite us. You know, otherwise I
you're
don't know.
invited.
Okay,
You're invited.
All right.
It is on the
Hugh
record
Grant.
now.
He likes S&M.
Hey, I don't think I discussed
He's a dungeon
this.
master.
Oh, yeah. I'm deeply involved in the S&M community.
Can you just like allude to that on in your Dungeons and Dragons group?
I can definitely work that in
Like
there.
start just talking like Hugh Grant from The Gentleman.
Okay.
Oh, good.
Really?
Another win.
Oh goody, not 20.
Real quick,
Boy.
I didn't bring this up on our Gentleman episode. Do you guys know what Hugh Grant's middle name is? He has two.
What?
Percival?
One of them is, and I shit you not, you can look this up, Mungo.
Mungo.
Shut up.
He is
Wait,
Hugh
Mungo?
Mungo Grant.
Hugh
What?
Mungo.
What's his
He's
other
Hugh Mungo.
one?
I don't remember because one of them's Mungo.
Oh my
Wow.
god.
I mean, it fits.
Yeah.
I wouldn't expect anything less.
Oh,
Good
boy.
for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, it reminds me what you're saying of Don't Worry Darling being good, but could have been great with another pass at the script is something I've talked about before, which is movies that are mediocre or good, but are frustrating because they had the potential to be amazing.
Yes.
And that's always so frustrating. I'd take a bad movie over a missed opportunity film any day of the week.
Although I will take a missed opportunity movie over a movie that's just bland.
Oh yeah, but
not
I've
to-
always said boring is the worst sin a film can commit.
Yes, and I don't think that Don't Worry Darling is boring. Not to
Good.
go back to our previous topic, but I have similar feelings towards it that I do towards Elvis, where I don't like the movie, but I think it's a movie that's worthy of discussion because it has elements that I appreciate.
And it has Nick Kroll.
I'm still
Troll.
trying to go see The Invitation because I heard from people on TikTok that if you're a fan fiction girly,
Yeah.
you probably want to go see this. It was marketed it was not marketed to the right
Yeah.
people. It was they did not do a good job marketing it apparently, and I'm like, you know what? I need to know now, you know?
Yeah, no, I too have been wanting to watch The Invitation. I know it's not a good film, but I have a friend who has recommended it to me because it's a saucy film.
Let's
It's
go
saucy.
see it today, Meg.
Let's see a
get
saucy
saucy.
vampire film.
Yeah.
I'm not invited to this.
Brooke, that's
You
a shout.
have love in your life, remember?
That's right.
You're
That is
spending
true.
this weekend with your girlfriend for her birthday.
have
Didn't you
love.
say that?
Zach, you have love, we have sauce.
Oh boy.
We have ices at the movie theater.
Yeah.
That's what we have. Slowly
wish.
dying of all the fucking red additive that they add to the cherry ice.
Listen, you need some red flavor. in
That's
your
why you were
life.
blowing red out your nose when you were super sick. It was just icy food coloring.
That's right. It was red 40.
It's
No,
red
I
fork.
have, another thing that's going on is Avatar has been re-released in theaters, and I am trying to get my girlfriend to go and see it because she didn't see it when it came out. She's the one person in this world.
She missed it.
I didn't see it
You
when it
didn't
came out
see it?
either.
I think we know what we're
I
doing
did
today.
not
We're getting
care.
saucy and watching Avatar in
No.
3D.
Yeah.
Please.
You know, it's funny that's a
No,
segue.
you're not invited, so I don't have to do that. I
You
get
know,
to
fuck.
trick
No, yeah,
into
but
going
it's
to
my
the
idea,
invitation.
and I'll be there. We're gonna watch Avatar. That was gonna be my segue. Strangely enough, is to Avatar because of Red 40. We went to the movies last night, Alexis, to
Yeah.
rewatch the movie we're going to review later.
Yes.
Yeah.
And while we were going through the ticket booth, I was seeing all of these Real D 3D glasses, which I have not seen for years. And I remember thinking, what is going on? Why is there a new release? And I look over, and there is the Avatar from 2009 poster, huge, in the lobby. And I realized, and a lot of people were getting 3D glasses. And I thought, my God, it's back.
You know, I've
Oh,
seen
no.
for years. I've seen discussion on the internet that's like, "Oh, why are they making Avatar sequels? No one's gonna go see it. Nobody cares." Bullshit.
Yeah, no, I've come around too. I've been a curmudgeon, but not that I'm like, oh yeah, no, it's going to be huge. I can't wait.
It
But
is gonna
When's
be
the
huge.
last time a movie got re-released in theaters just so you could see the fucking sequel? right?
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
I
never bet against Cameron.
Yeah,
That's what
no,
he said. James
it's-
Cameron, the director.
The last couple movies that James Cameron made, people were like, "Oh, this action director is making like a period romance about the Titanic. That's weird. That's probably gonna bomb. Nope.
Yo, okay, so I'm not an Avatar girly, but I am a Titanic girly.
Yeah.
That was sacred in my household growing up.
I worked on a movie with some people that were in the special effects department on Titanic.
Wow.
And they said that one night, and I don't know if this is true, a cook in the catering got fired because people didn't like the way they were interacting with the crew. And strangely, that night after this cook got fired, they made clam chowder, because I don't know if you are familiar with the production of Titanic, but they filmed on a harbor for a lot of the exterior, super cold. They made chowder. And within about 3 hours, everyone on the crew started tripping balls. And they all had to be hospitalized. And apparently the night ended with the entire crew doing the conga line on like floor 3 of a general hospital because everyone was zooted out of their minds. Now, I don't know if that's
like something
that seems right.
Now, was that the cook, or is that just James Cameron zhushing up the crew for morale purposes?
Well,
we don't know.
what does you guys say about Jerry Bruckheimer?
Make sure there's a line item in the budget for cocaine.
Oh yeah. Hang on. You're telling me their faces come off? Hey,
Yeah.
John, get in here.
Since we're on the what's going on, Alexis and I recently revisited the classic Gone in 60 Seconds.
Oh, yeah, we
Nicolas
did.
Cage, Angelina Jolie, and produced by Jerry Bruckheimer. And I was so ready to not like the movie, because I grew up with that film so bad. I was so ready to cancel it. Oh my God, this hasn't aged well. Folks, I have an announcement for you. That movie is still gold.
You
gold.
Okay.
You must engage with the cage.
As a side note, okay, you know when they're stealing the Hummer from the police station?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet.
You've never
Oh my
seen it?
God.
We discussed
Spoiler
this.
alert.
Okay, because we watched Mandy, so we discussed this
Spoiler
the other
alert.
day.
That's how the movie ends, is with the Hummer. Oh, that was the bigger
I've
deal.
got to watch this.
I'm kidding. Go
Oh
ahead,
my God.
Alexis.
Okay. So when they like plays, he's all this some hard shit, you know, and puts like the music on, and it's it's DMX's song.
Lose My Mind or whatever. it's
Y'all
called.
gonna make me lose my mind.
Yeah.
Okay. Today on my drive to my pre-employment COVID test, I was listening to X Go and Give It to You.
Nice.
Because I was okay. So first, I was that West Side Connection song that came on at the bar last night, Gangsta Nation.
Yes.
Okay, so I was listening to that, and then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna listen to Dr. Dre for a second. You know, I was like, I'm just taking it back to my childhood at this
As one
point.
does.
You know? And so then that's all the music that I was playing, like, going down. And then I was like, oh, you know what? A DMX song. Fuck it, whatever, you know?
Yeah.
It was...
And then Nicolas Cage was there, and he was like, "That's fantastic. That's my warm-up song."
Oh, man.
Whoa, let's go.
Yeah. You know what? You briefly brought it up. What else is going on? We all rewatched Mandy.
Yeah,
Yes.
rewatched Mandy.
Why?
Yeah.
And that was the first time you had
That was
seen
the
it,
first
Alexis.
time that I'd ever seen it. And I was so tired because I was still getting better from, you know, being a sick Edwardian
She's not getting
Dickensian child.
She's not gonna
Edwardian, Dickensian.
Some sort of an
Dickensian.
orphan who's died.
It's Tiny Alexis.
It's Tiny Alexis.
Tiny Alexis. Aww.
I know. It's so, like, I know, like,
That was such a legitimate moment of sympathy
It was.
for yourself.
we joke about it, but her little crutch is, like, leaning against the front door of our apartment, and I feel bad for making fun of her scoliosis.
I see a stool that is empty, and a crutch by the fire without an owner.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mandy's good. I like
Mandy's
it.
good. Mandy's great.
I really liked it, but I really felt like I was like, whoever made this movie's done acid for sure. It was a lot.
How do you say his
it
name?
Sure was a lot.
Panos Cosmatos.
Cosmatos, the Greek
which,
director, I believe.
Sick name, by the way.
Yeah, great.
It's
That's
not,
a horror director name.
Yeah, that's not the most important thing about the movie, but it bears mentioning. That's a name that whips ass,
You know,
It does whip ass.
much like Hugh Grant.
You know, I was just thinking though, isn't it more impressive when people are able to come up with the kind of like visuals and stuff, and they've like never done drugs before?
Yeah.
That means that they're just naturally wired that way. You know,
Yeah.
there's something kind of inherently impressive about that.
And that really is the moral and, I guess, lesson of this podcast is who needs drugs when you have cinema?
That's
That's wow.
Isn't
really
that
deep.
beautiful?
I swear to God,
Hey,
if that
this
gets
is-
cut out, I'm protesting.
I'm not gonna cut it out. I'm gonna bleep it.
There we go. Who needs drugs when you have...
Have what? Oh, God damn.
Yeah, I guess what else is going on, to bring it down to a bit of a somber topic, Louise Fletcher, the wonderful actress who played Nurse Ratched in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, sadly passed away at the age of 88.
Yeah.
I wish I could say I've seen her in more things, but I just got to say, what a terrific performance. We've all seen that, right?
Yes, that is
terrific
It's been a
performance.
really long time. I barely remember it.
Also,
Great film.
Ken Kesey, who wrote One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, is kind of a hometown hero.
Yeah, from Oregon. We're
yeah.
both.
Yeah.
Those of you who don't know, Zach and I are both from Oregon.
Yes, and Ken Kesey was from the town that was like right outside.
Oh,
my
okay.
hometown.
Yeah.
I read that book when I was in high school.
And they shot a lot of the film One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest in Salem, Oregon, the capital of the state, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And Depot Bay, where they go and they go on the boat. That's in Depot Bay, which is just north of Newport. That's like 20 miles from where I was born. Really cool.
Wow. Yeah, no, I also have to shout out, this is not film related. I mean, there is a film adaptation of this, but it doesn't really do the book justice. Ken Kesey's other novel, Sometimes a Great Notion, I think is just absolutely fantastic. It's one of my favorite books I've ever read. And it's over on the shelf by all of my Dune books.
Because remember, this is a visual medium.
Yes.
Yes.
Everyone take a look.
Incredible.
Let's sit in that.
Incredible.
Take a
no,
look.
we're sitting-
There we go.
Okay, good.
Keep
Everyone
your eyes
go
on the
take a
road,
look.
though, if you're driving.
All right, is there anything else going on?
Is there anything else going on? Aside from a weird dream that I had of...
Yeah, let's get into that.
Okay, really quickly. So I woke up this morning. We were on a different podcast this morning. The first thing I wake up to is Zach saying, "Hey, let's get into this." And I had just woken up being traumatized because I went back to my hometown, and they had. I didn't tell you this part, Zach. They had converted my entire town to a military base.
Oh, good.
And
Great.
strangely, there's this giant soccer field where Alexis had just been proposed to, and she was getting married.
Oh, that's
What?
beautiful.
And, yes,
Congratulations,
so like
Alexis.
all of my friends were there, my family, your family, you were there. Everyone was like getting pictures with you, like, oh my God, this is the day that she got proposed to, and I'm taking pictures, and I keep wanting to get a picture with you because you're one of my best friends, and every time I keep getting like pushed back, like, no, take a picture with me and her. And eventually it's finally my turn to get a picture with Alexis. And see, she suddenly turns into a fly and flies over to the hors d'oeuvres table, and you're like, hey, I'll be right back, we'll get that picture. And as you're flying back to me, you get caught in a spider web and you get eaten. And I wake up to Zach going, let's record, like we gotta troubleshoot this audio. And that's why when you were on the podcast, immediately I texted you going, are you alive? I don't know if that dream was like a sign from the universe, but
Wow.
Alexis, I'm glad you're alive, and watch out for those spider webs.
Maybe we're talking about me dying way too much because it's like invading your consciousness.
We need
It
to
is.
not
in a weird way.
manifest this.
Yeah.
I really don't want to find another co-host.
That's fair.
I don't want to
I like
explain
you
that to
guys.
people, and I really don't want to be entombed below the earth for the rest of my living days.
I mean, if it comes with a curse, maybe I'll go for it.
Oh my
if I have
God,
a chance
stop.
of coming back,
Please stop encouraging her.
I just want to be a mummy.
Oh my God.
I want to be a mummy.
Oh my God, we can do the. I can mummify you alive.
I've always assumed that was the scenario. I'm not going down
What is
dead.
it? The Hamundai?
I need to
I
feel
am
bound.
not for this.
I need to feel
I
bound.
like to bind. I like to be bound.
That's going to be the last words before I die.
As you scratch into the.
As I scratch in the dark and... Yeah, all right. I was going to say a gentleman quote, but I'm not going to.
All right, I feel like we can be done with what's going on. I don't like what's happening.
What's
here.
going on?
There is no song. There is no song. I can't be clear
Isn't
with
that a
this.
Marvin Gaye song?
You know,
Yeah, but we're
actually,
not
it is,
doing
yeah.
it.
Maybe that should be our lead-in to what's going on.
I'm
His
pretty sure that's
protest
a
song, and then we
copyright
start talking
infringement.
about Alexis being eaten by a spider.
What were you saying, Alexis?
Isn't that like a copyright infringement if you use
Yes,
it?
absolutely.
It probably is.
Even just like mentioning it.
That's it. We're gonna get sued. I apologize.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted by laughing.
Okay, so I feel like we could get into our big topic.
I just read Alexis's shirt and it just says prick. I'm like,
She's
I think she's saying something. There's got to be a metaphor in there.
No. It says
Primal decor, the best kind of.
The best kind of prick. Primal decor.
What is that? Are we plugging them?
Okay. I mean, why not? They're great. They're a great store. It's Jen McMahon in Humboldt in Eureka. She has a shop, Primal Decor. I did a documentary on her one time.
That's right. We all worked on that in some capacity. You were the director and editor and
That's
stuff.
Fun.
Yeah, she owned a skate rollerblade glass blowing shop, right? That's Primal
Still
Decor.
is what it's called. It's also in Eureka. It's shit that I like.
Oh,
that's what it stands for. That's the acronym. But yeah, she was great. She's cool.
Fantastic.
And I bought this shirt when she pierced my industrial for B-roll.
Love it. I remember that.
Yeah, it's great. I get to.
I have that. I still have that footage. It's pretty gnarly.
I watch it every night.
Okay.
Let's be done with what's going on.
We're already done with what's going on. I already segued us out of this.
Wait.
No.
Zach, I gotta ask you something. What's going on?
Oh, fuck you. What's going on is our big topic.
What is our big topic?
I wanted to talk about gear shift movies. And when I say gear shift movies, what I mean by that is movies that start as one thing and take a hard turn at a certain point into something else. I'm not talking about movies that, like, right at the end of the movie have a twist that recontextualizes what you've just seen. I'm talking about movies that sort of shift tones or genres drastically at some point during the film. Alexis?
Malignant.
Yes. That's a great example.
Malignant, I think it comes about as late in the game as it can for me to consider it a gear shift movie.
Yeah.
But yeah.
If you have not seen James Wan's Malignant, you have got to watch it. If you are a self-proclaimed horror fan, you need this in your library. Fantastic.
Oh, yeah. I feel like we can just generally say there's spoilers will abound during this segment. Alexis, what's going on?
No, we've already covered what's going on.
I'm gonna be honest, I'm still really mad that I didn't get to segue us into what's going on. I'm gonna think about it all day. It's gonna just stay with me.
Is that your thing? We can make it your thing.
No, it's okay. I feel like I feel like it should be whoever can get to it gets to it. I think that's fun.
Don't say it like that because we'll make it a competition.
No, I think we should.
I think that's helpful.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the podcast should
the
start and
Coliseum.
we should be like,
Yes.
hi, we're the film majors. I'm like, what's going on? So yeah, James Wan's Malignant. I love the shift that movie takes because both in the marketing and I think early in that movie, it sets itself up to be very in line with a lot of James Wan's like studio horror movies where it's like there's a good chunk of like well-staged jump scares. It sets you up to think that it's some sort of like a haunting that's connected to our protagonist's childhood, which I feel like shows up in other James Wan films. And then, probably right as we head into the third act, it's revealed that the imaginary friend character who is haunting Annabelle Wallace's protagonist is in fact her parasitic twin that was submerged into the back of her head when she was a child.
It's amazing.
Yeah, cracks its way out of the back of her skull to commit murders and control her body.
And kills a lot of cops.
I think my favorite part of that reveal was when like you can just see the front of her now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she's like in this trench coat or something, and it's just like...
It is incredible.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic.
And the physicality even of that element of the character is just... what the fuck?
Up until that moment, you're watching this creature crawl in a very strange way, and in that moment, the big reveal, you go, okay.
Oh no.
That makes sense.
It makes it worse.
Which,
it's worse.
By the way, when the creature reveals itself, Gabriel, by the way,
My sweet boy.
The twin brother, which, by the way, this is a great companion piece to Basket Case, if you have not seen that film.
Oh, boy. Watch Basket Case.
When Gabriel breaks out of her skull in prison, it's such a weird scene with all of the, like, butch lesbian prisoners and
who
biker
came out
women.
Of like a 70s grindhouse
Yeah, it's suddenly
movie.
like a 70s movie.
Like the black woman with the giant perm and like the big swishy pants. It's like, what year is it to you? Where did you come from?
It's just so much fun. You have to watch that film. But yeah, it's a great gear shift film, just like Psycho.
Oh yeah,
Psycho's
very relevant to the movie that we're going to be talking about.
Very much so. Yeah. Another great one's Parasite, too.
Yes.
Great gear shift film. These are just movies that you should not. I mean, you're probably aware of them, but do not just be aware of it. Don't know anything about it before you go into it, because it's all part of the effect.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, we already talked about 2019 films before, but when I saw Parasite, I was just blown away, and I was like, oh man, I love you, Bong Joon-ho.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. And then I think you showed me Memories of Murder after that at some point.
Yeah.
I think Parasite kind of has like 3 pretty good gear shifts in it, because we go from the sort of heist movie element at the beginning where all of our characters are insinuating themselves into this rich family's household.
And then the housemaid shows up.
Yes. Yeah. Then we have one of my favorite things in a movie that also pertains to the movie we'll be talking about, which is I'm in your walls, I'm in your walls, I'm in your walls, I'm in your walls. Yeah. We have the segment where it's revealed that there are there's a man living in the walls of the house, and then we have the final segment, which I feel like is kind of a shift again, where you have basically sort of a slasher movie confrontation at this party. I think that is a all-timer gear shift movie.
And it's not even a horror film, but I will never forget when that little boy is getting his birthday cake out of the refrigerator in the middle of the night, and he looks over, and that's where he first saw a ghost in the house, which is really the person in the walls, and you look over, and you just see this guy rising from the basement, where you see the top of his head over the top of the surface of the staircase, and you just see his eyes huge. I got chills right now. Not a horror film, but that might be one of the most terrifying images I've ever seen. No. It's so frightening.
Yes. One more, I would say horror film that I'd like to bring up in this conversation is John McTiernan's Predator.
Yeah.
Predator is another like all-time gear shift movie because it starts and you get a solid like 20-25 minutes. It feels like it. It might not actually be that much.
No, I think it is. It's a good amount.
I've still not seen Predator.
Oh, it's good.
It's fantastic.
It starts out as just like this roided out 80s action movie. And
Commando, basically.
Yeah. It takes this turn where it, but for the rest of the movie, becomes a slasher movie.
Yeah, you're watching this squad of master hunters get hunted all of a sudden halfway through the film. And now all of these powerful, roided out, loaded to the max soldiers are now completely helpless. And it's great. It's absolutely great.
Yeah. So, I feel like just a little underground movie that everyone could go ahead and check out is Predator.
If you've heard of it.
Yeah, I don't know if
you've
heard of this film. But, it's... I think this John McTiernan guy might have a bit of a career ahead of him. I don't know if he's made anything else, any other films. But...
Did he make Die Hard?
What?
Whoa.
Alright, that was fucking hack. I'm cutting all of that. That was terrible. That was horrible. That bit, just, I'm ashamed of myself. I don't want to sit in my failures.
You know what was, like, really sad was, like, all the stuff that you said about Nicole Kidman, like, not making it into the podcast because the audio was just lost.
Yeah, no, all these memories lost to time, like tears in the rain.
Oh, man.
Okay.
So if we're talking
Everyone cheered for the Nicole Kidman AMC ad at my screening of Don't Worry,
I don't know what it is. Also, somebody released a BuzzFeed episode, I guess, like a week ago, and I had to read that to understand like what had been going on the internet.
What's going on? What is going on?
And we're back.
No. I'm gonna put the musical cue breaking up our dialogue every single time someone says what's going on in this episode.
That should just be the episode today. Episode 4, or what's going on?
What is going on?
We can never figure it out.
No.
We can never decide on it.
Someone call in, tell me what's happening. I don't know where I am, and I'm scared.
The rooms are dark.
When you had Jared Edgerton call in, though. Oh my god, okay.
Hello.
Stop.
Sorry,
That's
Taryn.
really fun.
I keep Taryn in my basement, so he pops up every now and again.
We feed him.
Yeah.
He's
Okay,
doing
wait.
okay.
Can you think of any other Gear Shift movies before we fucking kill this bit? I like how you're looking at the fucking DVDs that you have behind you.
Would you count Jordan Peele's Us as a Gear Shift film or not really?
Not really.
It's more
That's
like
just
a
more of a
reveal.
classic twist.
Yeah. No, I don't think
I
there
don't
are
know
any
if I
other
can
ones.
think
I
of
think
any
there are
off the
only
top
4 or
of my
5.
head.
I think there are only 4 or 5 movies ever that have a gear shift.
Yeah. Of all time.
I guess one that I kind of know is a gear shift movie, but I haven't personally seen is From Dusk Till Dawn.
Oh, I've seen that movie.
Yeah, so that's
I've seen that a few
Okay,
times,
Great,
actually.
somebody can talk about
It's a
it.
perfect example, actually.
Alexis, go.
I mean, they start in the RV, right?
Sure,
No.
I haven't
No.
seen it.
No, I don't
don't know.
remember.
You can tell me
I watched
whatever
this
you
movie
want.
twice, but before the age of 13. So
It's cool. They start in a car. They're
Yeah.
robbing a gas station. You're watching two
Yeah.
criminals on the lam, and then
they get to a bar, right?
Yep.
Yeah, they get to a bar, and there's like dancers and stuff there.
And Quentin Tarantino sucks some feet.
Yeah.
good for you, dude.
You know,
I
it's all about
personally-
making the opportunities in your life.
Yeah,
you know?
just create them.
Oh, and sorry, real quick, I'm getting a call from Mr. Quentin Tarantino. I gotta
No.
pick this up real quick.
Put it down.
Sorry. Yeah, no. So I heard that you guys were talking about From Dusk Till Dawn, and see, I think that the real groovy thing about that picture was how many feet of feet. Fuck. No. So I was making this in this scene. What I thought was I was there with Salma Hayek, and I was seeing all these feet. Fuck. No, wait.
And
fuck,
that is
film,
all
feet,
the
fuck,
time
fuck,
that we
fuck,
have for
feet,
Quentin
fuck.
Tarantino today.
I'm so sorry. Wait, but Tarantino, before you go, how many feet of film did you use for it From Dusk Till Dawn?
Ah, shit. And,
All right, that's
okay.
enough time.
That's enough of him. Sorry. Sorry, everyone. Alexis, anything else about From Dusk Till
Alexis
Dawn?
just collapsed on the floor.
Leave me alone.
We just want you to get better, but
Yeah.
we're not optimistic.
They say that laughter is the best medicine.
Oh yeah. That reminds me of Mary Poppins. Sorry. Have you guys ever seen Mary Poppins?
Yeah, is that a
with
gear
Dick
shift
Van-
film?
with Dick Van Dyke.
I was just thinking about laughing. I'm sorry. There's a song about having the giggles in the movie.
I just know, just the spirit for the you know. Kind of,
I think I know all the songs, but I'm not gonna sing them for you. So.
You'd have to sing every single song right now. Let's get as
Let's
much
do it.
copyrighted material into this podcast as we possibly
We got
can.
it. You've already brought up MacBook. I have one later that I'm going to plug.
All right. Anything else? Any other gear shift films we want to talk about, or do we want to get into it?
I think
Let's
we should
get
shift
into it.
gears and talk about what
Oh my
we're
god.
here for.
Wow.
Right?
Wow. Yeah.
Very
So
sad.
we all went and saw Barbarian a couple times. Zach Cregger's new film. Woo. And I personally love it. What?
Okay,
What's
I'm so
happening
sorry,
over here?
folks. I thought the microphone just popped. I look over and Alexis' neck is dislodged from her shoulders. I thought that was an audio fault.
I didn't crack my neck.
We can hear her bones.
Clickety clack, clickety clack, clickety clack, go her bones.
I don't understand
You
why
have-
the bit about me
I
dying
know,
makes
you
me
already
laugh
have
so
one foot in the
hard.
grave. We can hear your bones being dislodged.
Okay. So Barbarian is
Yeah.
a movie
Barbarian is a great movie.
Yeah.
and a great gear shift film. So I
Is it?
Yes.
Wait. Oh, no, I see it. You're right. No, carry on.
Oh my god.
Hey, we got our first snort, ladies and gentlemen. Alexis
This is-
with those hot takes.
Unlistenable.
Bone cracking, snorting.
Yeah, no, she in many ways has a lot in common with the mother from Barbarian.
You will be a prized possession of Unfailing Tall. It's just when they find you in the pyramids.
Yeah. So Jesus Christ, we're so deep in this episode already.
Wait, what's our time right now? What's our time?
We've been recording for 38 minutes.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. We should probably switch gears and talk about Barbarian.
I want to beat you to death with your arm, much like the mother does in the film Barbarian.
Great segue.
Yeah, I'm really trying, guys. I'm trying to keep this train on the rails. Yeah, so Barbarian is a great gear shift film because it opens and it really sells itself as sort of this contained thriller where you're trying to figure out whether or not Bill Skarsgård's character Keith is a threat to Georgina Campbell's Tess because they end up in a double-booked Airbnb. And, you know, they sort of have a meet cute, they get to know each other. Tess goes down to the basement and discovers a hidden door in the wall. Again, one of my favorite things. I'm in your walls. I'm in your walls. She discovers a room with a camera and a bucket and a bloody handprint in it and a bed. She goes up, tells Keith what she discovered. Keith goes down to investigate more. She finds a staircase leading further into the bowels of this house. She enters a series of caverns with cages. Keith crawls out of the darkness, says that something bit him, and then a giant naked woman runs out of the darkness screaming and bashes Keith's head into mush on the wall.
That is the end of the film, at which the second film starts.
Yes.
And we are introduced to Justin Long playing AJ Gilbride.
Yes, one of the biggest pieces of shit ever put to film.
Oh my goodness.
He's bad.
He's really bad.
Yes, AJ is, his career as a actor and writer is falling apart as he's being accused of raping someone who he worked with on a TV show. He is the owner of this Airbnb, and he comes back to Detroit, Michigan, where the Airbnb is, to try to liquidate his assets. Also discovers the caverns and...
The very cavernous caverns.
Yes.
He's stoked.
He is.
Yeah, he's like...
He's
oh,
liquidating.
boy.
He's like, is there more square footage that I can attach to this property?
Which is funny because he starts using a measuring tape, measuring the square footage.
One
to
of
try
the
to get
funniest
a better
scenes
value.
I've seen in
And
any
I
movie
watched
this
a
year.
Q&A of the cast and director here, and Justin Long admitted that while they were, as he read it, he didn't quite get the comedy, and as he was shooting the tape measure sequence, he was questioning Zach, the director, going, I don't get this. Like, why are we doing so many shots of this? Like, what? I don't get it. And then he was so happy when he finally sees the cut and he sees the hilarity of it. And I just love that. I love stories where actors or crew don't quite get what they're doing in the moment, but then you see it in the final product and you go, oh, well, that was perfect. It was always there.
Yes.
It was hilarious. No, and you know what? The best part of rewatching the movie, Mick, didn't you say, was just like the audience's reactions. It's so fun.
Yes, I am a little jealous that you guys went on a Friday night. I went on a Wednesday afternoon, and the theater was basically empty. If it's still in theaters when this episode comes out, run to go see Barbarian if you haven't already. Also, don't listen to this episode.
Yeah.
I was about to say, you guys literally did a fucking play-by-play of the movie at the beginning.
Yeah, we should have put a spoiler. Maybe we can edit that in.
Yeah, no, I'll
maybe
put a
we
little
can
spoiler alert.
Or I don't know, move the audio.
Yeah, no, I'll put some text in.
Why don't we just like say what our first reaction was? Like, I was struggling. I was struggling hard.
Yeah, no, the moment that we cut to AJ driving around in Malibu after we've just experienced this, like, huge horror payoff in Detroit, I was like, what's happening right now?
Yeah.
Because, like, it holds on a black screen for a while.
Yeah.
It's like, was this a short film? What just happened?
Well, it was in Zach's original draft. That was the end of the movie.
Yeah, no, I
was it.
really enjoyed listening to Zach Cregger talking about how he wrote the movie because he read this book called The Gift of Fear, I believe, which was by a security expert, and it's talking about all of these like micro red flags that men give off that women should watch out for, like, you know, complimenting someone when they don't ask for it.
You have a very pretty name.
Yes, doing someone a favor when, you know, they didn't ask you to do them a favor. and he just tried to write a sequence where someone is, giving off all these red flags, and then he's like, all right, well, I've gotten her down to the basement, and I feel like this guy, I believe he said, I feel like this guy has to do the thing that I'm pretty sure he's going to do, and he was like, I hate this.
Yeah, because he knows the audience is going to be right
there.
So I was there. I was waiting for Bill Skarsgård to
attack
the shadow.
Yeah, no,
and he did, but...
Yeah, and then he's like, so a giant naked lady runs out of the darkness and smashes his head. And he's like, oh, shit, I like that. Better make this a feature.
But that was the end. He was like, well, shit, now I have to do this whole other thing.
Yeah.
So good.
And I think that the impressive thing is that the whole other thing that he does completely adheres to the themes that he's dealing with in that opening section about how men invade women's spaces and, just are essentially barbarians. Because we eventually discover that the mother was a product of generational incest committed by the original owner of this house, Frank, who was
played by Richard Brake.
Yes, Richard Brake, the great Richard Brake, one of the great that guys of Hollywood.
Yep.
Who would kidnap women, sexually assault them, make them bear his children, and then assault the children until eventually you end up with this hulking beast, which, for a movie that I find very entertaining, pretty fun, oftentimes very funny, that is a hell of a fucked up premise that you don't really see outside of 70s exploitation films. But again, it's totally connected to what he's doing in that opening section with Bill Skarsgård. So I don't know, I think it's kind of genius. It's one of my favorite movies of the year.
You have Bill Skarsgård, who is this, as we find out, this completely innocent guy who is flying those red flags, which in the those microaggressions or those little red flags in the context of a horror film put you on your toes way more for the audience, at least for male audience members, and then you have Justin Long's AJ Gilbride come in, which is on the opposite end of the spectrum, which is someone who's completely oblivious of these, these fucking rapists. It's just, it finds a whole different version of that side of it where you see this guy so oblivious, so sinister, really. And then he gets his comeuppance, and it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
Great.
Dead.
I'm like, okay, sorry, I need a transition for myself. Ugh. Okay. On this last rewatch, I think I was just like, once the initial scare is kind of gone, all you're left with is just noticing how much men don't fucking listen to women.
Yes.
Ever.
Yeah. That's literally what kills Bill Skarsgård.
Oh man, literally the whole reason why he died is because he just wouldn't listen to how fucking scary being down there was, and of course he has to go check it out himself. I think that was the thing. I was like, how many times have I ever met some guy who's something I don't know, something's broken, and they're just and then they have to go check to see if it's really broken. That's what it felt like this whole fucking first part of the movie. And
when I initially watched that, I was like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? But I can think about times in my life where I've been like, I gotta go check out the thing, and it's like, well, somebody just told me. I think that is a thing that probably all men have found themselves doing at a certain point, consciously or not. So it's a good little check in on yourself as a man to be like, hey, I really don't want to get my head bashed apart by a giant naked lady. It's time to listen to women.
Not tonight. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, and then you have Justin Long's character, which, okay, so immediately upon seeing him on the screen, I had to think of, Tusk, which is, the most cursed.
I love it. I love it.
Okay, shout out to
kind of
my friend Maddie, who told us all we should watch Tusk without telling us anything about what it was about before we started watching it, and then we just get to that reveal, and I was like, I'm fucked up. No, I'm not okay, And so as soon as I saw him on the screen for Barbarian, I was like, now this will forever be the movie that I associate with.
I had completely forgotten that Justin Long was in the film the first time I saw it.
No.
So when it goes from that horrific scene where I was genuinely terrified.
I was
not
really excited to
expecting it.
get to his character because I don't know. He seems like he's having a great time, and then you're just
Yeah.
like, wow, this guy is a dick.
Well, what's so great about this film is it really, really, really manipulates and plays, and it knows of audience expectations.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think the filmmakers knew that Justin Long is a very likable actor.
Yeah.
So as
Oh,
soon
absolutely.
as soon as we see him singing that horrible song down the PCH, we're like, oh, like I remember being so excited. I think I cheered because, oh yay, it's Justin Long, and oh, this is what a fantastic change in tone. Because oftentimes directors who do horror or war films talk about how you need to have that break. If you're gonna bash your audience over the head with something horrific, you then have to cut to something that gives them a moment to breathe. And this movie gives you 15 to 20 minutes to breathe and figure out what's going on. And this character, Justin Long,
What's going on?
or H.J. Gilbride, we then figure out this character that we're so happy to see is a rapist. And it's just, you love to see it.
All right. Okay. I'm not gonna go.
But you know what I mean.
Yeah. No, I do.
You know what I
do
mean. It's a great. That's a twist in and of itself, right there, which I thought was really, really well done. And then also, of course, another little nod was Bill Skarsgård saying, "What? I mean, what? You think I look like a monster?" I said, "Yes, you're fucking Pennywise.
Yeah.
Your
There
eyes
was a
look
lot
in
of
different
meta
directions."
crossing in the movie. 'Cause you're
Yes.
just like so aware of some of these people as actors that you're just like, oh, the other horror thing that they've been
Yeah.
in.
It's really smart casting. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned, Zach, before that it was kind of like a Wes Craven film because the first time I watched Barbarian, I was thinking, okay, Bill Skarsgård plays Pennywise. His eyes drifts in different directions all the time. He looks like a monster. He has to be the killer, which means he can't be. But because he can't be, it has to mean that he is, because the director's going to know that I know that he isn't because he has to
Okay,
be.
but-
And then
Much like Scream.
Exactly.
But
Just
I
like
also
Scream.
find him incredibly attractive for
Oh,
some
he's a
reason.
hot
I
muffin.
don't like it's also so distracting because I was like, man, I totally like as soon as she like got to this house, he's already there, and then there's just like the interaction. You're just like, is he a weirdo
He's
or
kind of
not?
cute in his creepiness.
And then I'm also like, damn, he's kind of hot. Would I be a victim like in a horror movie?
The answer is yes.
That would just be like, I mean, like one glass couldn't hurt. Because I'm like, well, you're kind of hot.
Yeah.
What did I tell you after we got out of the movie that I probably would have been Ted Bundy'd?
Oh my god.
I love how you turned Bundy into a verb.
Yeah.
I got
hate
Bundy.
hate it when I'm getting Bundied.
God, Skarsgård Bundy's me.
That guy really Bundies me up. I think that's maybe the place where it shares the most DNA with Psycho, because Psycho also, like, in its opening moments, if you did not know that it was a horror film,
Yeah.
then you could, if not for the opening titles, mistake it for a romantic comedy.
Yeah.
Because not
That's what
only do
Justin
you
Long
have
thought when
yeah,
you first read it.
yeah, not only do you have the like element of Janet Leigh with her lover in the hotel room, you also have her first meeting with Anthony Perkins, who's this like unassuming, awkward, handsome guy who, you know, it's like, oh, are they gonna have a little thing? No,
Yeah.
no, they're not. So I think that's an element of that movie's DNA that it definitely shares. And I mean, you know, Zach Cregger has again brought that up, how its sort of unconventional act structure owes a lot to Psycho.
Which I've always said that Psycho, I think we can all agree, is, I think in regards to Western cinema, the first modern horror film. Like, I think we can trace modern horror back to the DNA of Psycho. That was the movie that was the first stone that was cast that created the ripple effect in the pond of horror.
What are you chuckling
What are you
about
snorting
over
over
there?
there?
What are you blowing out of your nose?
That was such a very aquatic. It was an aquatic
Metaphor. Nice.
metaphor. It was so.
How you doing over there,
It was
Alexis?
very aquatic.
Splish splash.
There's a lot of water in there.
Splash.
I think the other
Taking
fun
it
thing about like Psycho's influence on modern horror is like you really can see, like, similarly to like the ping ponging of like the Western genre inspires a lot of samurai films. samurai films inspire Star Wars, like sort of that cross-cultural
And Magnificent Seven.
yes, cross-cultural conversation between genres. Like, you have the same thing where Psycho in particular, and some of Alfred Hitchcock's other films, inspire the Italian giallo genre. And then that in turn inspires the slasher genre in America. So yeah, I absolutely agree that Psycho's kind of the first modern horror film, because, you know, you can basically trace potentially the most popular modern horror genre directly back to it and see how that evolved into what we have today in the slasher genre.
Yeah, and I like how you're talking about cross-culture for horror influence, because, Alexis, have you seen them? I think it's Japanese
Yes,
film, Audition.
yeah.
I
Takashi
haven't.
Miike?
You have, right?
Yes, I've seen Audition.
And
I don't love it. I think
Zach
it's pretty
Cregger said that Audition is the spiritual
like parent.
influence,
Yeah.
parent, yes, of Barbarian. And what do you think of that, Zach? Because I haven't seen it. I'm not familiar with it.
I've only seen Audition once, but in terms of being a movie that focuses on sexual aggression and initially sort of poses its female antagonist as you know, the threat, but as you go on, it's like, no, actually the way that men mistreat and disregard women is the true threat in this film. I can definitely see how Audition influenced Barbarian. Also, I feel like there's a shot in Barbarian where you see a filthy dog bowl in a cage, and there is a pretty upsetting sequence in Audition featuring a dog bowl that I'm not going to give away because I think you guys should watch it.
Oh, no.
But I feel like that was probably a nod to Audition.
Interesting. Yeah, and something else in regards to the production of this film, which I found really surprising. I remember when we first all saw it together, we were very surprised by the amount of, looked like Slavic names in the credits.
Yes.
I did not know that this entire film was shot in Bulgaria. The whole thing.
That's
except
okay.
for
We were
big
trying to
white
figure
exteriors
out
of Detroit.
where this was shot the
Yes.
first time we
Yeah.
saw it when we were exiting.
And that street, Barber Street.
Barbary, yeah.
Barbary Street, which I thought they were shooting on location in Detroit. That's all set. That they built houses, tore them down to look like that. Like, that's
really
all
cool.
is set. And
Wow.
apparently behind that neighborhood, where across the street from the house, there's like a laboratory, an abandoned lab building that they had to dress up to look like woods behind the house. And when Zach Cregger first got to set, he's like, "Fuck, this looks like shit. God, there's a
he's
building
looking
behind
back
it.
at the footage.
This is horrible." But then it all turned out okay. I am amazed because also the
I was looking
flashback-
for that the second time I watched it, and I still didn't notice it. So,
did
Mr.
a great
Cregger,
job.
you liked one of my tweets last week, so I know you're listening.
There you go. Come on the show.
Please come on the show, Zach. I just have to say, as someone who was looking out for that the second time they watched the movie, couldn't see it. You did a great job.
Fantastic.
Congratulations, buddy.
And then
I don't know. I mean, I saw the movie twice, and I totally believe that was like a location.
me too.
Yeah.
Really well done. And when they go back in time to the 80s, they imported like a dozen American cars over to Bulgaria for that. Like,
Oh, wow.
they really did a great job.
I
I'm
really
amazed with that.
enjoy flashing back to like the 70s to
Yeah.
see the cars.
Yeah, I love...
So many wagons.
Look at that wagon. Yeah, no, I also, this is kind of apropos of nothing, but I think it's funny that one of my least favorite horror movies of the year and one of my favorite horror movies of the year both shot in Bulgaria.
What's the other one?
The Netflix Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie,
Haven't seen it.
which it's Elsie Fisher does a great job, and
I love her.
that's about Mick worked with Elsie.
I
believe.
did.
Yeah,
Yeah. Great person.
yeah.
Zach, before you said something about John Carpenter movies when we were talking about bodies, and you were talking about how like the setup of like a location or something like adds a lot to the experience kind of for you.
Yes.
And then also you talked about Knives Out, with the house kind of being set up the way that it is. Do you think that way of like the street mixed with the house and then the crawl space and just all of that space like being as one, but like you're just in like a micro or like macro kind of setting?
Yeah, I'm really glad you brought that up because I think that Barbarian does a really great job establishing the geography of its space,
Yes.
Yeah.
of the tunnel. I also think that it's really fun. I'm going to bring up another one of my favorite horror directors who Zach Cregger brought up in this interview is when you get down to the tunnels, Zach Cregger was like, we're in a Sam Raimi movie.
Oh yeah,
and
Drag
I
Me
think,
to Hell.
yeah, when I was Drag Me to Hell is so good.
Really good.
When I was watching those sequences, particularly once AJ is down in the tunnels, the camera work becomes so Sam Raimi influenced with like this shaky chasing camera work where you can still see everything really clearly. And I think that, yeah, the use of like phone lights and flashlights, I feel like is done in a way that I like a lot more in Barbarian than I do in Bodies, because I feel like I'm getting what I need of the space, and I think part of that is just due to the fact that it's a more contained space, so there's less geography for you to worry about. But I also think that there's a lot more interesting shot choices where you see like there's one shot of AJ running away from the mother, and he keeps turning back and pointing his phone flashlight forward. Yeah, and then turning back around and running ahead. Yeah, and like it's kind of disorienting, but it's also just like really, really interesting to look at.
One of my favorite shots of the film is when AJ Gilbride, played by Justin Long, he finally figures out he's not alone down there, and he pulls out his knife and flashlight, and you switch to this first-person video game type shot, which is really cool, and it's the only time in the movie they do it, which I think is good, but it's just so dynamic, really, really cool. I mean, you know, it puts you in his shoes, literally. It's really terrifying. And I agree with you about the geography of the space. I feel like, having seen it twice, I kind of know exactly what the floor plan of that tunnel system is.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Does a great job at placing you inside of it.
I'd like to bring up something for Alexis, because Alexis is our resident Victorian literature fan.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
There is a point where AJ is going through, I believe it's Bill Skarsgård's Keith's luggage.
Suitcase.
Yes, and he pulls out a copy of Jane Eyre. So I feel like you probably have a good perspective on how that relates to the events of Barbarian.
I've made you watch the movie, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I have read...
You've read the book?
Jane Eyre a while ago.
Okay. Well, do you remember that... And spoiler alerts for no one, because this book has been out for 200 years.
Don't ruin this for me. Don't ruin this like you ruined Little Women for me.
I must have a thing for 1800s books. I don't know what it is.
You have a thing for 1800s diseases, so it makes sense you like his literature.
She has the consumption.
She's stricken with consumption.
Oh, she's not gonna make it.
Oh, dry. She's as pale as a sheep. Anyways, Jane Eyre, what were you saying?
Jane Eyre, Mr. Rochester, who, you know, I think when I was in high school, I was like vaguely kind of like into it, but, you know, reading it as an adult, it's a little different, you know? He has his wife kept up in a tower because she's like, I don't know, she's kind of a little crazy.
She's a crazy lady.
She's a crazy lady. She's off her rocker a little bit, and yeah, that's about right there. There's just a creature that's like there in the darkness, and it's very much the I'm in your walls, because Jane Eyre, you know, she's like in this giant house that's like super empty, which is another actually like very good kind of like setting where it's like the house like setup kind of really matters, because you have all these like scenes where it's like she's clearly getting into Mr. Rochester's room, the wife, and he keeps his wife up in a tower, and she's shut away, and she's in the walls, and
do you think that's why Zach Cregger put that book in the movie?
Do you guys think there's another reason?
I am deferring to you on this.
I'm not super familiar with Jane Eyre. I'm just wondering if it relates at all to sort of the like central themes of sexual aggression and how men exploit women to their own ends.
Well, I mean, yes, because Mr. Rochester takes on Jane Eyre as like a governess for this girl that he's caring for, and it's like kind of like they make it unclear whether or not it's really his child or not, but you're kind of like, I think it's his child with some like woman from like Spain or something like that, and or no, France or something like that. And he gets to know Jane Eyre, and she's like barely like, I think like maybe like 18 or something like that, 16 maybe, I don't remember, but do you remember?
I don't
Shit.
remember.
Okay.
I don't remember
Okay,
at all.
I can do this. I
need
promise.
Lifeline.
Book report right now.
I feel like I'm giving a book report.
Let me look up Spark Notes really quick.
No. Okay, and then he basically like befriends her. She's a little different, and so he gets her to like agree to like marry him, but he like plays with her for like kind of a while because he's like also seeing this other girl. I don't know, you know, like now that I'm older, I'm like, Mr. Rochester's kind of skeezy, you know, and I'm not into it as.
Now that I'm older, I look back at Mr.
Now
Rochester.
that I'm older,
Hey,
I am
you
fully
know,
against
I've
entombing
been
your
to
wife.
therapy, you know, things that were romantic, you know, when I was like 16 or maybe not so romantic at 27. So
That's fair.
it was an age ago.
Yeah,
How old are you? It was an age ago. That was in a different realm.
yeah.
I mean, I'm talking about 1800 books, you know. You never know. I could have been like alive for a very long time. Who knows?
Yeah, no, tale as old as time. How old is Alexis?
Yep.
I also want to shout out, Mick, if you wouldn't mind pulling up the name of the actor who plays the mother.
Oh yeah, Matthew Patrick Davis.
Matthew Patrick Davis, that was sort of the thing that I noticed the most on my rewatch, is how brutally sad the mother character is, and how much like personality and empathy he imbues that character with. Because honestly, I think that's the other big thing that Barbarian is dealing with, is sort of how women who are compassionate are exploited,
yeah.
but ultimately how that's a strength.
Yeah.
Because like Tess ends up in the tunnel system because she goes back for Keith, and it's something that's established when she's talking about the bad relationship that she's getting out of. And she was like, I would keep going back, and she goes back for Keith even when that's not in her best interests. And she
goes back.
Yeah, she goes back for AJ because she doesn't know
That
what a
piece of shit.
fucking piece of shit he is.
Yeah.
And ultimately, that compassion is the thing that saves her when AJ pushes her off of the top of a building to try to escape the mother, because the mother rescues her because she has compassion for her baby, because that's all she knows is
Maternal
how to
instincts.
be a mother. And she's not a mother because this fucking piece of shit serial killer rapist is now old as shit and isn't going to have any more kids.
Yeah, and mother recognizes the fact that her baby, Tess, is injured and is like examining like her wound a little bit, and it's trying to get her back to the basement because I need to nurse you
Back to health. Yeah. Please,
Okay,
Alexis.
I have a side note I did write this down last night when I was watching the movie, is that at the end of Jane Eyre, Mr. Rochester goes back into the burning house that his wife set on fire because she finally fucking set on fire, like, the house. And because she'd clearly been trying to do this for, like, a bit. And he went back in the house for her, and he became blind. And so, of course, you know, Tess comes back for AJ, and she gets fucking shot, too, you know? And just in general, it's that kind of, like, going back for somebody who was like, are they worth going back for?
Yeah.
That was my main takeaway, was I kept telling Mick, no, I wouldn't have gone back for him. No, absolutely not.
Yeah, nope.
Not even Keith. I thought Keith was like really cute, and I was like, I would not have gone back for him.
Yeah, I know the whole time.
no
She's like,
fucking
God,
way.
I'd leave him.
Yeah,
Which
no,
I
like,
mean, that makes sense though.
if he had been the problem and he had been like the murderer, I definitely would have been killed because I would have probably gotten a little too friendly. But if we get to that point where like he goes down that tunnel, absolutely not.
Yeah, I think
100%.
I think you said like I'm okay getting killed by him, but
Yeah.
I'm not okay with getting killed for him, which
Yeah.
I think is
Yeah.
actually quite astute
Oh, thank you.
in a weird fucked up way. neither madness nor brilliance. Funny how those often coincide.
Oh boy. All right. Do we have anything else about Barbarian?
Yeah. Well, I
Please.
just want to go back into the production. Alexis, did you have something?
Oh yeah, the cops were pretty terrible.
Oh yeah.
Like that was just like it was very much like a number one, men don't listen to women, and number two, cops don't listen to people they think are from a poor place.
Yeah.
You know.
One, men don't listen to people, and two, cops are bastards.
Yes. I love also that like addresses a common horror movie complaint where it's like, oh, why don't you just call the cops? Because the cops will actively make things worse.
This movie
Yeah.
explains it.
Yeah.
This is why you don't.
Yeah, this is why, because
Or it's a waste of time.
Yes,
at least.
she gets
cop-
free. Sorry.
The cop literally like says that he's going to take her down to the station so she can sleep off whatever this is, because he assumes that she's on drugs.
Yeah.
That what she's saying can't possibly be right,
like-
and that she broke a window, so that is also a crime. And I'm like, in the space of like 2 minutes, it shows you exactly what happens when you try to rely on cops.
Yeah, and it's profiling too, because she's a woman of color who's tattered and dirty and stuff like this in this neighborhood, and it's, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Cop
no
just
houses
assumes.
around for anything, so
Yeah.
like they're like, just step away from this nice house that's in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I think that honestly it connects to the Dahmer series that's out on Netflix, because I think, well, there's a fair point to be made about how do we really need to explore the story again and potentially re-traumatize the families of the victims. I think more than other media about that case, it does a really good job explaining how Jeffrey Dahmer was able to kill so many people due to racism and homophobia.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, even in, you know, a fun, schlocky genre movie like Barbarian, it's makes a point to be like, yeah, no, of course these cops don't believe the black woman who looks like she, you know, has been living rough for a while.
Yeah.
They are going
Looks
to
houseless.
make her life hell and actively put her in danger. So I think that that's a really sort of, again, astute observation from Zach Cregger.
Yeah. It's pretty horrific. She is kept prisoner, and they threaten to arrest her for breaking and entering.
Yeah.
That's how that conversation goes, which feels like there's such reality in there.
Oh yeah, honestly, I may have, sorry.
What do you say, Alexis?
I've interacted with cops a little bit. It's never a good time. I'll be honest.
I love her hot takes.
Yeah. The cops, not great.
Not great.
Not great.
I mean, also, like, on the flip side, I have interacted with cops a few times, and broadly, it's gone just fine for me as a white guy, and I have had some things on me that I should not have had. And
Yeah.
they completely...
Like bootleg DVDs.
Yes, yeah, no.
Oh
You
my
wouldn't
God.
steal a car.
Okay, another thing though was like at the beginning, Tess was kind of talking about how men navigate the world, and she was saying that like, I come in here and I have to be like super fucking scared and terrified for my life, until I determine whether or not a threat has come, and you get to just fucking bound ahead, like if you had been outside, I wouldn't have let you in,
Yeah.
fuck that, but you let me in. What if what if she had been the crazy one, who knows,
Yeah.
and because that could be a horror story in itself, anyways.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
she talks about how delicate women have to be in this world, because at the risk of being impolite,
Yeah.
you put yourself in danger because
She-
of that, being labeled something.
She stayed for him because he said, I'm going to go check. Can you stay long enough for me to come back? So he's like saying, oh, I get that you've determined that this is a threat to your life, but I need to determine if you're right. Right? And that is ultimately what is his downfall, and then hers, because then you come in with the, always coming back for somebody, And I'm like, sweetheart, no, absolutely not.
Yeah, actions speak louder than words, which is why that scene where they are, AJ and Tess are rescued by the homeless man, and they're in his little hut, and he has this moment of, I accidentally shot Tess, this is my fault, I have to fix this, I'm going to do better, maybe I'm a bad man, maybe I'm a good man who does bad things. The first time I saw it, I was thinking, oh, the scene is not working.
Yeah, are we going to redeem this fucking guy?
I was genuinely uncomfortable and also disappointed because I thought the scene was not working at all. Mm-hmm. Like, I think they're going for genuine emotion here, and it's not working. And then, about 3 minutes later, you are reminded and are comforted strangely that, oh no, yeah, this guy is exactly the piece of shit that I think he is. No, the writer knows exactly who this character is.
I do not remember thinking that he was pulling off that emotion.
He
like
wasn't.
It genuinely, like, Justin Long, yes, as like playing it, but the character itself, like, I don't know. I knew he was skeezy. I was expecting him to be skeezy, and then he fulfilled my fucking expectations because I knew that he fucking sucked.
Well, that's why I didn't like that scene initially, because I completely agree with you. Yeah. So when it was like, I think the movie's trying to redeem this guy? No, not working. And then, yeah, the movie is not trying to do that at all, because you cannot. He's a bastard. He's a barbarian.
I am traumatized by this movie. Lightly, just a little bit. I mean, I have sisters, you know, like, I like, you know, I've seen people be breastfed before, you know, and
Let's dig into that.
Oh my god, that was so terrible. I was just like, oh my god, not the nipple.
I've already
immediately.
I was already not very partial to baby bottles, but man, this movie has solidified that I am not about them.
No. Yeah, I was like, oh, she's... Okay, that was the other thing. She gets down there, Justin Long gets captured, and then she's like, you need to calm the fuck down. Mm-hmm. You need to calm the fuck down, because if you are not calm, she is not going to be calm. And then she's like, she just wants you to be her baby. And he's just like, I'm freaking out, you know?
Which, to be fair,
also talking about being her baby, I have to shout out that the song that plays during the credits and the little cuts to Tess walking off alive, the fact that Zach Cregger is playing Be My Baby over the ending credits.
That's great. I sang along to it last night when it was playing. Yeah. Oh, okay. But this is one other thing that I think is that Tess adapted to her situation quickly, right? And that's ultimately like how she survived like the few weeks that she was there with like that creature. And I think that says a lot about women's ability to be adaptable when they're in deeply uncomfortable, unsafe circumstances.
Their resilience.
And to, you know, like figure out a way to get through it, you know, and then looking kind of like having to look for your chance to like get out once you like got yourself into a situation like this.
Yeah, and it's interesting how the movie does not explore her adapting to it. She goes from being the central character who has no idea what's going on until we meet her again to being the only character that knows what's going on.
What's going on?
And I think it's really well done. I mean, it speaks to why it took so long for Zach Cregger to get this movie made. Studio after studio after studio, financer after financer rejected the script because you can't introduce a character on page 45, they said. That was their note. Mm-hmm. You can't switch gears like that. And you can't have this new protagonist, they said, be a rapist. And it just took years and years and years for this to get made. And it's so funny that to this day, studios are like, oh, you're switching gears halfway through the movie? That's not going to work. Yeah. When
audiences love that shit.
Yeah, they love it. Filmmakers have done a great job with that in the past. It's frustrating. But I'm so happy this movie got made. It finally got made, and thank God. Yeah. It's so good.
Yeah.
I love Justin Long, personally. Honestly, like, this... what's her name, though, the main actress?
Georgina Campbell.
Georgina Campbell, that's
British,
right.
by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I loved her. I've never seen her in anything before, but I
neither.
just absolutely loved her performance.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what she does next. I also kind of both love and am pleasantly surprised by the fact that this is a movie that ultimately, for wide distribution, ended up in the hands of Disney, because they bought 20th Century Fox. 20th Century Studios now is a Disney brand. And you look at something like Prey earlier this year, which is a Predator film, which is an established franchise, but, is rated R, is, not in line with the Disney brand, and it didn't get a theatrical release, which is insane to me, because I think that movie would have played incredibly in theaters.
Yeah.
But this weird, sexually upsetting horror film that is not attached to any sort of a brand, doesn't have any huge name actors. Like Justin Long is famous, but he's not a Chris Pratt or something.
I think most people go to this because Bill Skarsgård's on the poster.
Yeah, Bill Skarsgård is in
He'll
it.
finance it.
Yeah, he was a producer on the film.
Yeah, he was a producer.
But Bill Skarsgård, I don't think is a household name. I think people know who he is.
Right.
But
People know Pennywise.
Yeah.
more than they know Bill Skarsgård, and yet this movie somehow tested well and managed to get a theatrical release, and was number one the weekend that it came out, because to be fair, it came out on a weekend where it didn't have a ton of competition at the box office, but is doing well because of positive word of mouth, because it's a good fucking movie.
I'm looking at the box office right now, and Barbarian is still doing pretty well. It's down 30%, and its main competitors are Don't Worry Darling, which makes sense, it was just released. The other two, Avatar from 2009, and Top Gun Maverick, which was released at the beginning of summer.
Yeah.
What?
Top Gun Maverick has hung out in the top 10
Yeah.
since its release. It has not dipped out of the top 10.
It's amazing.
It's
And
barely
People
dipped.
are seeing it that much still?
Yes,
it's
it's
still in
barely
theaters.
dipped out of the top 5.
What?
it never left. It's still there. That's what I'm saying. It's still Barbarian is competing with Avatar, Top Gun Maverick, and Don't Worry Darling. Those are the main 4 right now.
Yeah.
Also,
Oh, yeah, he was in The Devil All the Time.
Bill Skarsgård?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Who did he play?
The dad?
Sure.
I forgot that.
Right?
Wow,
Yes,
that movie
yeah,
has
you're
a
right.
stacked cast.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it was crazy.
Wow.
Definitely.
I forgot. But I was gonna say that you're right. It's miraculous that this got a theatrical release and wasn't, thrown away on streaming. And another miraculous thing was that Zach Cregger said that there was 0, and he means 0 studio meddling in the final cut. He says that the movie that you watch in the theater is what he considers to be the director's cut. The only thing that he cut out of the movie was what he thought scenes that just brought it down in terms of time, which is great.
Yeah.
He had final edit of this film, which is you just don't get that much anymore. It seems like.
Do we have anything else about Barbarian?
I take significant issue with the fact that she traveled in a skirt. I watched her walk up to this Airbnb and I was like, where are you going? Aren't you just coming to this Airbnb in the middle of the night? Why weren't you in shorts or comfy pants? You arrived in a sweater and a skirt. Who's looking at you driving for these 4 hours,
And the movie is ruined.
I hate that movie.
Bullshit!
No, I did. The second time I watched it, I was all, girl, what are you wearing?
Alexis checked out. I knew this movie was crap.
Crap, mega crap. Well, if we've sort of run our discussion of Barbarian dry, I'd like to bring something up real quick. It
We sucked that teat dry.
Yeah, we sucked it.
You set me up for that, buddy. Come on.
Oh, yeah. And Alexis is
Alexis
dying.
just died again.
Alexis,
That's the third time
oh,
this
she's not
episode.
getting up. She's fallen. Oh.
Shut up.
Oh, my God, she's
she's
cold.
awake.
Shut up.
It's like I can still hear her.
I can
Just
still
on-
hear her wonderful voice. Shut
On
up.
the lamb.
No, I would like to bring up something that by the time this episode is released, it's probably already up on our Instagram, but I'll be posting about it every day of October, and that is my October Spooktober list.
Yeah,
Zach's
spooky
Halloween
season is here.
Spooktacular 2022.
Welcome to Film Major's Fright Night Theater.
Oh yeah. So I started this in 2020 when I was holed up at my place in Humboldt with my roommates. I made a list of 31 horror films that I had already seen that I considered good to show my roommates, and I have done it every year since. I've changed up the movies every year, and once again, I have 31 horror, or I'd say there's a few that are just spooky films for you to enjoy. So if you want to go ahead and follow us on one of our socials, you will continue to see our spooky recommendations.
Yeah, and I should note, we're not going to be reviewing all of them, obviously, but we may review a few, so it's probably a good idea.
Yeah.
If you want to watch some that are on the list, you
We'll
should.
probably cover at least a couple of them in
Yeah.
What's Going On.
And what's
going on? Hang on.
You know, what else is going on? Speaking of spooky season, apparently, no, we are not sponsored by them, but I have to bring it up. The Criterion Channel, Criterion Collection, they have a great collection of films that they are restoring and preserving for future generations to come. They have announced this morning that for the month of October, they are having an 80s horror movie marathon.
Oh, that's great.
On their channel.
That's awesome.
And I watched the trailer this morning, and oh boy, there are some bangers in there. So
Oh, sweet.
Please, you should
Shall we?
subscribe to
Shall
Criterion
we?
Channel.
We should do that.
Yes.
We should do some of that.
Okay, well, if we have we covered everything that we want to discuss? Is there anything else, guys?
I don't think so.
I think we're well covered.
All right, then I would like to announce what we are talking about in our next episode. Now,
Which is?
there's been a lot of discussion of John Carpenter's The Thing over the years, but we are going to differentiate ourselves by talking about every single version of The Thing that has been released. So that will be Howard Hawks' The Thing from Another World.
Great film.
It will be John Carpenter's 1982 seminal classic, The Thing.
Great film.
And it will be a film that I have not seen, which is Matthias von Heijingen
Nailed it.
Jr.'s,
Wow.
thank you, 2011 film, The Thing.
Not so great film.
Yeah, well, I haven't seen it. I'm dreading
You know,
it.
we
I'm
started
dreading
this
it a little.
episode talking about movies that are good but could have been great. That's a great example of one, buddy.
Yeah.
The 2011's a thing. They had it, but, well, we'll talk about it next
Yes,
episode.
Yeah.
we will get into it. Yeah, so go ahead, and if you want to find our Spooktober list, follow us on Twitter and Instagram at FilmMajorsPod. And if you have any suggestions for what you'd like to hear us talk about, if you have any comments on what we've talked about, shoot us an email at filmmajorspod@gmail.com. And I think that just about wraps it up for us. So, yeah, tune in next time to hear if Alexis is still with us.
It's our ongoing saga. Can't wait.
I have high hopes.
All right, get the fuck out of here.
Oh, have a good day.